let us all do we can to build a better future.
All right. This story is going to get you angry. It's going to get you upset. Now, this does take place in the great state of New York, of course. New York State. And they're talking about how Sunday library hours are ending at New York Public Library branches. Budget cuts for social services, but money for wars. Cardi B was right. Cardi B was right. And I'm going to play that video of her snapping at the Biden-Harris administration and Democrats and Eric Adams. Because I never thought I would live to see the day where they're going to be cutting the library hours on Sunday. And this is because we're dealing with massive inflation. And unfortunately, this migrant crisis with sanctuary cities, it was never planned out. It was never planned out properly. When Hardlands media was covering all these protests in front of Trump Tower and people were trying to do the feel-good points of we're going to be sanctuary cities, we asked them, myself and Daniel, a lot of these activist groups, after the protest was done, speaking to some of the leaders like, hey, is there infrastructure really put into place? Do we have the resources necessary to make this happen? And always we were dismissed, cast aside. Look, we all want to help out people, but the problem is this country has not taken care of its own citizens. And now what? They're cutting the library hours? This is important because it could happen in your town, your city. I don't care what state you live in. If it's happening in New York State, that's the canary in the coal mine. They're cutting social services for us. But yet somehow we can afford 2 wars and bail out the banks. Somehow we could bail out a corporation. Our politicians do insider trading. But yet we get nothing. Where's our tax relief? Where's our bailout? But the library hours are ending on Sunday. Oh, you don't believe me? I'm hesitant to even pull up this video. Because I can't believe it. I dread if this would ever happen in Chicago. But here we go. Library hours being cut.
Well, happening today, 6 New York Public Library branches across all 5 boroughs are ending Sunday services.
The reduced hours are due to city-mandated budget cuts. Weekend Today, New York's Miles Miller is joining us live now from Midtown with more on the changes to come. And Miles, such a disappointment for so many people.
That's right. And all 3 library services issued a joint statement saying that with the current funding situation, they can't continue the Sunday library hours. In addition to the Sunday library hours, they say the impacts of these budget cuts will also mean that spending on materials and programming and building maintenance will be cut as well. Let's go ahead and show you some of these branches that are impacted. They include Washington Heights, Toad Hill, Parkchester, Grand Concourse, the Bronx Library Center, and right where we are, the Stubros near Archo's Foundation Library, which is right here across from the main library branch, the Schwartzman building on 5th Avenue. Mayor Eric Adams says the city has a $7 billion budget gap, and he's blaming the cuts, which will virtually affect every city agency on the cost to house and feed asylum seekers. But
this is a powder keg that's ready to blow. I just see things becoming extremely terrible. Once the warm weather turns around, I see again people demanding the need for services and aid, and knowing how full well how the establishment treats us, they're going to keep on doing more and more cuts. This hurts my soul just a little bit because they're cutting the library hours now. There are people who use the library for a lot of things, for research, work, and either that, maybe a place just to relax, to get away from the madness. They're willing to do this to the libraries. They're going to do whatever they can to every other social service, and it's going to come to a city and town near you. How did it come to this? Oh, that's right. We have unchecked corruption. We have sociopaths ruling over us.
Many say the cuts should come from somewhere else.
A total of $12 billion to pay for the asylum seekers, migrant crises that our city was hit with.
And we know that the library system says, looking into the future, libraries are bracing for deeper budget cuts in fiscal year 2025. For that year, there's also a proposed 5% cut. And this is something very serious because so many young people in neighborhoods around the city go to these libraries in order to be able to go on the computer. Some are going to be doing their Thanksgiving homework packet, and this will be the last Sunday that they'll be able to do that. So you have to think about the impact of all these cuts. The library really a lifeline for so many people. Pat and Jen, when I was a kid, I used to go to the library, the Van Ness branch. One of my favorite books to get out was A History in Asphalt, and that was a history of all the streets in the Bronx. So, yes, a little nerdy, but, you know, I quite enjoyed it.
A little?
Hey, Case, did you have to cut it off like that? And also the news report. You didn't have to do my man dirty like that, anchor lady, for saying a little. A little? Some humor out of this depressing story. Some humor out of this depressing story. Hold on.
In the Bronx. So, yes, a little nerdy, but, you know, I quite enjoyed it.
A little?
Look, this is sad at the same time, but it's funny, okay? I need some humor because I'm only afraid that things are going to get worse. Just one more time.
A little?
A little. Just a little roasted. Just a little bit. But hang on, look, I could sit here and snap all day, but, you know, it wasn't too long ago, just a few days ago, where Cardi B called out the Democrats, the Biden-Harris administration, and Mayor Eric Adams.
Angry bitch right now. I'm an angry ass bitch right now. I'm an angry bitch. Y'all need to get in here because I'm about to go off right now. Right now. Yeah, I'm about to go off right now. Come on in. Hold up. Oh, yeah, outside because usually I be having like 30,000 people by now, but I have 24,000. I need y'all to spread this fucking video. I need y'all to spread this video. And if something happens to me, it's because I'm speaking truth. So God forbid something happens to me or my family or some shit, is because the niggas is after me because I'm speaking the truth. And here's the truth, right? In New York, there is a 120 million budget cut. There's a 120 million budget cut in New York that is going to affect schools, public libraries, and the police department. Y'all know I don't give a fuck about the cops, but like it is what it is. There's going to be an $120 million budget cut with schools, with the libraries, and the cops. And
the libraries already. They're cutting funding. And they're cutting services. That means the libraries won't be open on Sunday. I would never imagine that. I mean, everyone should be a little bit alarmed by this. And these politicians and everyone who wants to do these feel-good points to try and make themselves look better than Trump. Okay, fine. But did you have a plan for all these migrants? Because I'm reading here in Chicago, in our local newspapers, how a lot of these migrants are leaving the city. There was nothing here for them to begin with. And there are many residents and communities all across the wards who don't want these facilities, sanctuary facilities being put into their district, their neighborhood. There was no plan at all. This was all just words. Sanctuary city, all nothing but words. You know what should have been the dead giveaway? When the Republican and Texas governor of the Texas governor of Florida, the governor of Texas, and the governor of Florida sent migrants to Martha's Vineyard. Apologies for the stutter. As soon as that happened, and the migrants were put in the front steps at Martha's Vineyard, and they were only there for one day, that should have been assigned to everyone. Oh, sanctuary city. Sanctuary town. It's just nothing but a word because they were pushed away right away. There was no plan.
And the police department. And a $5 million budget cut in sanitation. Of a budget cut in sanitation. Bitch, we're going to be drowning with rats. We're going to be drowning in fucking rats. So we are going to be having a budget cut on these shits. Mind you, and this is why I said I'm not this is what I'm telling y'all. I'm not this year. Don't fucking ask me. I don't give a fuck the resume that they send. I don't give a fuck. I'm not endorsing no fucking presidents no more. Because how is there $100 million budget cut in New York City for fucking schools, library, police safety, and sanitation? Yeah, Joe Biden's talking about, like, yeah, we could fund 2 wars. We could fund 2 wars. Motherfuckers talking about we don't got it, but we got it. Like, we're the greatest nation. No, the fuck we're not. We're going through some shit right now. Like, say it. We really going through. We really are fucked right now. $120 million. Like, where these kids are gonna go? Like, I'm lucky. I'm blessed. I'm whatever the fuck. But like, what's gonna happen to my nieces? What's gonna happen to my nephews? What's gonna happen to my cousins, my aunts, my friends? That's living in the hood. Fuck the hood. Like, my shit. Like, I don't give a fuck if I live in Jersey, bitch. I'm from the Bronx. I don't want to see my shit affected. The Bronx, Brooklyn, it's gonna affect the whole New York. 120 million budget cut on schools, libraries, police department, and sanitation. Bitch, New York is already fucking super dirty. Like, yo, you know what's embarrassing? Like, it's like, you know, like, I know people from California, I know people from Atlanta, so I always be like, yeah, New York is the greatest place in the world. Yeah, they be like, New York is dirty, and it is dirty, and we're gonna get even dirtier with the fucking budget cut. And yeah, we talking about we could fund 2 wars. That's like a nigga trying to front, like, yeah, I got the money to support 2 bitches, but you really don't. Y'all talk about y'all don't make negotiation with the odds. Well, y'all need to sit the fuck down with these people and find agreement. No, we cannot fund these fucking wars. We can't. Keep it a bean. We can't. Like, y'all doing budget cuts on the biggest city in the United States. Somebody said, Cardi, look behind.
Okay, whoever said that to her in their live stream chat, that was wrong. Don't do that.
Stop playing with me. This shit is getting out of hand. We're really going, they don't want to say the word, but we're going through a recession right now. We really fucking are. And Major Eric said it. There's a budget cut going on in New York. And little by little, it's going to go in your states. Okay?
She's not wrong. I see it coming to Chicago. Daniel and I called this out too. Seems like everything we said that was going to be happening from 2017 through 2020 was going to be coming to fruition right after the 2020 election, because how lackluster the Democrats are going to be. Sometimes I look back at some of our earlier work, and I'm thinking, like, we're kind of like half joking, like, oh, this could potentially happen, but maybe if people work, if there's a way that could happen, we could avoid this dark future. But nope, no. You know, I started doing this job, doing this show. It's a lot of idealism and hope. I got to tell you, sometimes I look back at the past and I think, oh, that was an innocent era. Those were innocent years. And now seeing what's happening now, budget cuts, services being cut, mass inflation, people struggling day in, day out just to make ends meet. It's there before us. And what's happening in New York State is coming to a state near you.
This is fucking crazy. And then, so, like, you know what? I told myself this week, like, yo, the internet right now is too dark, because celebrity drama, of course, we love it. We infuse with it. We watch it. But it's like, yo, that's little of what's really going on in the world right now. That's nothing compared to what's going on in the world right now. The world is in fucking shambles. After the pandemic, a lot of these countries, they want to do shit because everybody.
So we've played that video before, but there's something else I wish to show all of you, especially here. Senator Bennett, Ukraine funding should be approved without negotiation on border. Hey, look, they're going to get their funding. Yeah, so hey, Senator Michael Bennett said that the proposed aid package for Ukraine should be approved without negotiations on the U.S.-Mexican border. Isn't that great? So they're going to get the funding. But wait a minute. Hold on. Think I'm done here? GOP braces for internal battle royal over government spending. Now, don't worry, folks. None of that spending is going to be spent on you. Lawmakers of both parties are predicting a GOP battle royal over federal spending at the start of the election year, as Speaker Mike Johnson struggles to balance the demands from House conservatives demanding fiscal reforms with keeping the government operating. The new speaker was able to prevent a shutdown earlier this month without massive repercussions to his leadership. Sometimes I think Matt Gaetz likes to troll people. Because if he did, he was like, because I don't like Kevin McCarthy. Mike Johnson, hey, do you want to have the big boy seat? Sure thing, Gaetz, you really like me? Yeah, Johnson, I love you. After his predecessor, former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, was unseated in part of bringing a funding measure to the floor that relied on Democratic votes, House conservatives gave Johnson a mulligan in November for basically doing the same thing. But hold on. Come on, folks. If you watch Hard Lens Media, you know the phrase, how can this get any worse? What could possibly go wrong? Turns out, shout out to Russell Brand, who managed to post this up here. Good news for the concept of peace, then. We got the money to make a new nuclear gravity bomb. I want to hope that humanity is going to make it to the stars. Now, I won't live to see it, but I don't want to live in the world of Mad Max. I don't. I just don't have time for it.
The Pentagon asking Congress to fund a nuclear bomb 24 times more powerful than those dropped on Japan to end World War II. This
What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Money for war. Money to feed the poor. What are you? What are you, some sort of bleeding heart liberal? Huh? Take care of the people? What?
This would be major to have in our arsenal. This is the Senate Armed Services Committee raises concerns about growing nuclear threats from Russia, North Korea. Tom Dempsey has more on this from Washington. Tom?
Good morning, Marky. Yeah, this morning, military leaders in the United States want to see Congress approve the production of a brand new nuclear weapon far more powerful than the atom bombs used in World War II. The military leaders saying they want to keep Americans protected from rising threats around the world. As the world watches wars being fought in both Europe and the Middle East, this morning, a new push by the Department of Defense to upgrade its nuclear weapons. Military leaders recently announcing they will pursue production of the B-6113 nuclear gravity bomb.
I mean, we're seeing how libraries are now shutting down on Sunday. We're seeing how Americans are facing bankruptcy and struggling with debt, be it student debt or medical debt. We're seeing how homeowners are losing everything, how renters can't even barely afford to pay their rent. But we got money for a brand new bomb that's 24 more times powerful than the one that was dropped on Hiroshima. I've been to the Peace Museum in Japan, in Hiroshima. It is not for the faint of heart. You will not walk out the same. I hope someday all of you have the opportunity to see that museum as well. And what's depressing to know is now we have weapons that are far more powerful than the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima, and we have them pointed at each other. Are we truly that incapable of learning how to live with one another? If you ever go to the museum in Hiroshima, brace yourself.
A weapon 24 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, Japan during World War II. One defense leader writing in a statement that the need for the new nuclear weapon, quote, is reflective of a changing security environment and growing threats from potential adversaries.
This is as serious a topic as we will hear about this year.
Earlier this month on Capitol Hill, the Senate Armed Services Committee focused on the country's nuclear strategy. Leaders from both sides noted ongoing threats from enemies like Russia, which recently de-ratified a nuclear test ban treaty, as well as North Korea, which continues to conduct numerous weapons tests.
To prevent war and keep the peace, it is incumbent on legislators to commit today to a program of sustained innovation and investment. This is the only way we can reclaim lost ground.
This mission has become more urgent through Russia's assault on Ukraine and because of China's rapid strategic expansion.
Just a side note, we launch a nuke, they launch a nuke. Then everybody starts launching nukes. Now, folks, there will not be a great reconstruction project era afterwards. The survivors will envy the dead. And those poor remains of humanity, well, will be a shell of what we once were. That's if we do survive, because there's massive amount of radiation poisoning. We will never get to this level of technology or superiority ever again. That's it for us as a species. We're done for. Done. Gone. Finite. It's over. Whatever we once were before the bombs drop, we will never achieve again. Can we not be better?
Here in the U.S., just 2 weeks ago, the National Nuclear Security Administration announced a team conducted an underground chemical explosion at a test site in Nevada, aimed at improving America's ability to detect nuclear explosions around the world. Now, with a call to upgrade the U.S.'s own weapons, some lawmakers want to see the country be prepared.
It is time to begin making the national defense investments required to deter the conflicts looming ahead.
The Department of Defense adds that this new nuclear weapon will give the president the option against certain harder and large area enemy targets, while also discouraging enemies from possibly targeting the United States. Guys.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. No. F you. I can't believe I had to sit through that. So, what can we take away from this? We have money for war, but we don't have money for our schools. We have money to bail out banks. We don't have money for healthcare. We have money to bail out corporations. We don't have money for our infrastructure. We have money to keep the cesspool of Washington, D.C. ever flowing, even though it's not going down because it's a clogged toilet. It keeps on overflowing over and over again, but we don't have money to bail out the American people. If this doesn't get you involved in local and state politics, to at least get involved in building movements and organizations not connected to Washington, D.C., I don't know what to tell you. We have to fight for a better future. You know, it takes more than just, these politicians to just get away with this. They had our silent, obedient consent for a long time, and corporate media helped out too. Wake up. Because if we don't stop this now, if we don't start exercising our First Amendment right and our right to push back against these politicians, these jag-off bastards that are taking everything from us, soon we will have nothing. And I think this is what I want to reduce us down to, being nothing but illiterate peasants who are just smart enough to operate the machines, but never smart enough to say why. Why does it have to be this way? We deserve better, as we should. This goes for boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, Gen Z, and the generations after. It's gone on long enough, the abuse. It's time for us to step up and say no more.